again.
This your generation, these are the final days. No bother contemplate, just change your evil ways. Down with the lies, the truth is now taking over. All ye nations of the world, we're down to the final hour. Hey, as in the days of Noah, this world shall surely fade away. As in the days of Noah, I just can't take it no more, no more. As in the days of Noah, give ears to what the prophets say, they say. As in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days. Hey. Whoa. Although the times have changed, spirit remains the same. Socially corrupt, given into vile imagination. The generation of man is the fall of a civilization. Hey, as in the days of Noah, this world shall surely fade away. As in the days of Noah, I just can't take it no more, no more. As in the days of Noah, give ears to what the prophets say, they say. As in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days. Hey, whoa. This world shall surely fade away. As in the days of Noah, I just can't take it no more, no more. As in the days of Noah, give ears to what the prophets say, they say. As in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days. Hey, whoa. This world shall surely fade away. As in the days of Noah, I just can't take it no more, no more. As in the days of Noah, give ears to what the prophets say, they say. As in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days. Hey, whoa.
My name is Cohen Mikhael Ben Levi of the Hebrew family of Guyana. The aim of these dissertations is to cause the true house of Israel, who have been without knowledge of themselves for countless generations, and who are now being awakened by the God of the universe, to better serve our Creator. It is our hope that by reacquainting this awakening black nation with their laws and former history, it will hasten our return to our true identity, thereby acknowledging our ancient ancestors. This in turn will allow us to know our Father's God and prepare us to stand together to meet the terrible day of the Creator that He is now readying for all mankind. May He cause all your minds and hearts to understand.
Shabbat Shalom Nakim, giving all thanks and honor to the Holy One of Israel. It is my sincere prayer that the Most High will comfort all of those that are mourning the loss of a loved one, and that He will even bless and speed up the process of the speedy recovery of all those who are facing health challenges. Once again, Shabbat Shalom Nakim. And we hope and pray that our message today will strengthen you in these perilous days and times and grant you the true understanding of the Holy Scriptures. There are some things in the Bible the church don't want people to know. Some topics in the Bible are areas you will never hear on television broadcasts. Catholic religious doctrine as well as mainstream Christianity teachings, do not agree with the Creator being the maker of the universe and being whom one would call God. And they do not endorse the Torah instructions or the Creator's laws. The two essential points that ancient prophecies will show are the fact that religions are responsible for eliminating the name of the Creator, and they are behind a deep conspiracy to destroy His true people, African slaves brought to the West via the Atlantic slave trade. Two important points. They don't want people to know the true name of the Creator, and they don't want people to know that true Israel are the slaves that were transported by ships to the Americas. Prophecies to come, or unfulfilled prophecies, which we'll read about today, have partially begun or are yet to occur. The groundwork can be seen for things that are about to happen. The Creator, Yehovah of hosts, is still on high. His throne rules the universe. Man is little to be accounted as a worthy opponent against the forces of Yah, maker of heaven and earth. Hopefully, this teaching will be given at least fair hearing by non-Israelites. There are a lot of people that do not want to hear anything contrary to Christian teachings in the Bible. And this is part of the anger that is coming from the Most High because of idol worship, as we will see. Fundamental Bible knowledge, which is only recorded first in the books of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. These books are a must read in order to understand prophecy. So we'll see that to understand prophecy, you have to know what happened during the history from the beginning of the birth of and making of Adam and Eve right up to Again, the history of Abraham and the way Israel was formed as a nation. Any sincere Bible reader will agree that the book of Genesis relates the events of Abraham being called by the Almighty. He was asked to leave the land of his nativity, all verifiable in our Bibles, called Ur of the Chaldees, that's in Asia. So Abraham made a tract by commandment to leave Asia and come to Northeast Africa, the land that he was promised would become the Holy Land and the promised land for his seed and children to come. Abraham's obedience was counted, if you've read the Bible, unto him for righteousness. He trusted and believed in the words of the Creator. And this is known as Abraham's Berit, or the covenant of Abraham. His life is a life that everyone who reads the Bible is reading about the promise that was made to Abraham and to his seed. It's the foundation of the entire story, whatever part you're reading in the Bible. This is the foundation, the history that you must understand and build upon. He's the multitude and the father of the multitude of nations. Abraham was given the promised land known as Canaan. Canaan became the Holy Land. Now, today it's known as Palestine, present-day Israel. And as we will see when we read Deuteronomy 28, which speaks about Israel going into Egypt by ships, we'll understand that that particular prophecy has been fulfilled. At some point, common sense has to be applied to our understanding the historical timeline in the Bible. Whenever anyone is reading part of the scriptures dealing with prophecies in Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, it is important to know that Europeans had not yet arrived in any part of Africa or Asia. They just weren't there. You have to know when they came into history. And that's, of course, beginning with 1 AD and beyond. Furthermore, during the lifetimes of Abraham, of Ishmael, of Isaac, called Yitzchak, and Yaakov, called Jacob, no European civilization or empire existed. False indoctrination makes it absolutely necessary to approach our lesson on unfulfilled prophecies in this manner. These prophecies are about Black people's spirituality, not our religion. We didn't have a religion. It's our spirituality. We connected with a spirit that is within us, the breath of life, and the spirit that made the universe, that same spirit, the creator that hovered over the waters in the beginning, reading of the Bible. We have a spiritual heritage. We're connected with the maker of heaven and earth. For more than 3 decades, I have listened personally, not every day, but I've heard, of course, evangelist speakers like the late Billy Graham, the late Herbert W. Armstrong, leader of the Worldwide Church of God, who held the view, one of its views on one hand, was that the United States and Britain were Ephraim and Manasseh, the sons of Israel. And on the other hand, he also supported the Christian worldwide view that European Jews are the biblical Israelites. You can go and check any of his messages and you see that they taught that. These were teachings that are plainly understood and said and taught in Christian circles. Today, there's a great phenomenon emerging across the earth. The spirit of truth is spreading. For instance, everyone knows and heard about Messianic and Hebrew Israelites, Black Judaic Israelites, to mention a few, of course, in the Western Hemisphere, who all oppose and reject the values and religious teachings. A generation of Israelites have awakened throughout Nigeria, Igbo community, the Ghanaians, the Ashantis of Ghana, and other typical or tribal people now connected to the ancient biblical cultures. Falasha, everyone has heard of them. In modern day Israel, over 100,000 Falasha, known as Beta Yisrael, the house of Israel. They reside and live in Israel, while thousands of African Hebrew Israelites have resided in Dimona, Israel, Arad, Jerusalem, Mispeh Ramon, Tel Aviv, Be'er Sheva for over 50 years, strengthening the claim to be bona fide Israelites. Now, why and how does all of this just get swept under the table? How does these facts just become unrecognized facts, even by Black folks, because of years and years of brainwashing, indoctrination into Christianity? It's in the history books. Missionaries came into all of the colonial territories and they Christianized the slaves. The question is, what way of life and what understanding did African slaves have before being indoctrinated with Christianity? We emphatically tell you, without reservation, that it is the story and the teachings of the Torah and the Old Testament, the original and only true words of the Most High who made heaven and earth. It's the only place you'll find, thus saith Yehovah of hosts. Thus saith Cohane, the Most High who made heaven and earth. Today we pick up in our teachings of truth, a truth-centered teaching that is based on verifiable information found in your Bible. And we want to start out by laying the foundation in Deuteronomy 28 for the slaves going in to slavery by ships. And in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, beginning at verse 62, we find these words.
Ye shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou didst not hearken unto the voice of Yehovah thy God.
Now let's understand that was straightforward and plain. Whoever the Bible is speaking to, it's again admonishing them for not hearkening to the Creator's voice. And as we will see, this prophecy has already been fulfilled. We're going to go in. This lays the foundation and the groundwork for why the other prophecies of coming out of captivity actually are necessary. And the end of the matter when you understand the Bible. See, the end of the matter has not been taught to the world. This is what we're doing today, fulfilling and letting the world understand unfulfilled prophecies. It says,
And it shall come to pass that as Jehovah rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so Jehovah will rejoice over you to cause you to perish and to destroy you. And ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest in to possess.
And this is clear English. This is not complicated reading. Those same people have been told that the Creator will rejoice over them for good and will multiply them And so he's saying that if they did not obey, he would rejoice over them to cause them to perish and to destroy them. And now we must intelligently ask ourselves, who on earth could this possibly be? My contention and our contention on this program is none other than the so-called Negroes, black people all around the world that came under colonization. It goes on to say,
and Yahuwah shall scatter thee among all peoples, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth.
Now, by process of elimination, a whole lot of nations get eliminated from being scattered to the four corners of the earth. That England was never scattered. Britain is England, France, Germany, Russia, they never were scattered all over the world. They went there voluntarily. All of those sail ships, whether they were exploring, investigating, imperialists, they were not taken and scattered by a divine hand. This means that we must find some people that can fit all of the curses, because this is a curse, it's a punishment, and it's verifiable because the Creator would not curse one people and then let it be seen on another. It just wouldn't make any sense. There's some logic that has to be applied to reading the Bible. It says further,
and there thou shalt serve other gods.
So whoever these people are, one of the things that would happen to them would that they would now lose whatever way of life they had and whatever God they had, and they would be serving other people's gods based on their captivity.
Which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers, even wood and stone.
And he's also telling them that their gods, unlike him, would be a spirit that is everlasting, but they would have a God that's of no significance, a piece of wood that doesn't breathe, a stone that cannot save or help or deliver. And of course, you would have no knowledge of the God of your forefathers, because whatever they knew, you were going to be stripped of that knowledge, is what the Bible is speaking about. And all can be verified. It will be as we continue. It goes on further to say,
and among these nations, thou shalt have no repose.
You're not going to have no peace, no rest, no insurance of your life. It's going to be difficult and troublesome times.
And there shall be no rest for the sole of thy foot.
You're going to work hard and you're going to be oppressed.
But Yahuwah shall give thee there a trembling heart.
You're going to be shaken. You're going to be unstable. You're going to be a nation that's in distress.
And failing of eyes.
No hope of the future.
And languishing of soul.
And everything that's in your soul, and you're just going to fade away little by little. Mental slavery, heart attacks, all types of physical ailments. You're going to just pine away in your iniquity.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear night and day, and shall have no assurance of thy life.
And your black lives won't matter, because that fits right in there in that line. Your black lives, I can see right now how black lives don't matter can almost coincide with having no assurance of thy life. Because when our sons go outside in the day, you don't even know if they're coming back home. And it could be a male or a female. They have no respect of the young or the old. And you know, during slavery, our forefathers dreaded day and night. Sun in the day and the people coming with sheets, the KKK at night. I'm just telling you what the facts are. You can fit your own alternative in there, and I doubt if you can find one to fit all of these scriptures that we're reading. This goes on to say,
in the morning thou shalt say, would it were even.
Because you were wakened by the European slave master that told you, get on the plantation farm and start working. You couldn't get up and have breakfast. You had to go by the oppressive hatred of a slave master. That was part of the punishment that the Creator said he would he's going to put you on people, under people that would not have no love for you, nor your children, old men or young men.
And in even thou shalt say, would it were morning.
For the fear of thy heart, you don't have no defense against this enemy.
Which thou shalt fear. And for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see.
Living in some of the captive territories has been a dreadful situation, and no one can doubt it.
And Yahuwah shall bring thee back into Egypt in ships.
Now, this is a very important line, because it's telling you that the Israelites were, if you read Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, you know that the Israelites were in Egypt. And that's why we came out in the book of Exodus, came out of Egypt. We went down there, if you remember, in the days when Joseph was placed in Egypt in Genesis. You have to know your Bible, because then you can understand how progressively we get into prophecy. And so he's saying to the Israelites, you can make them black or white in your mind. We're telling you the truth of who they are. They're the Africans that came via the Atlantic slave trade. And here are the very ships that was prophesied that they would come on. And so this prophecy has been fulfilled, and that they would come into slavery by ships again and have the same type of oppression and experience that they experienced under Pharaoh and his people in the land of Egypt. Well known throughout Bible reading. It says,
by the way whereof I said unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
You would not go into physical Egypt in Africa, but you would be in an Egypt in slavery scattered throughout the four corners of the world.
And there ye shall sell yourselves unto your enemies for bondmen and for bondwomen.
And
no man shall buy you.
And this is not exactly the correct translation. It should read that, in other words, in there, you shall be sold to your enemies, and you will not be paid. See, that word buy, it really means that you're going into Egypt by ships, and no man shall pay you. Nobody's going to pay you for your labor. That's why sometimes when they translate the Bible, they don't go into that Hebrew and get the correct translation. But this is what it really means. You're not going to get any pay for the work and the hard labor that you will do among those Gentiles. And all of this is the foundation and the groundwork for understanding the prophecies that are unfulfilled, some partially, that we will now begin to read. Let's begin with Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, verses 1 through 10, because Moshe prophesied and told the children of Israel certain things that would even happen even after Deuteronomy 28, meaning that they would go into Egypt by ships, but now, and Moses himself prophesied the end of that particular experience and them coming back to the Creator, back to their land, and how it would all play out. Let's look at Deuteronomy 30th chapter, verse 1 to 10, Moshe's prophetic words.
And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse.
See, that's what you have to know. Unless you read Genesis to Deuteronomy, you will never understand this phrase, the blessing and the curse. Because in Deuteronomy 28, as well throughout the book of Deuteronomy, it continuously tells and warns and admonishes Israel about the fact that they will be blessed if they hearken and keep the covenant that was made with Abraham, and that they would be cursed if they disobeyed it. One of the key things, thou shalt have no other deities, no other gods before me. Thou shalt make no graven images of any idols. And these were the main things that Israel violated, which caused them to go into slavery. Not to mention breaking of all the other laws, the Shabbat day, wronging one another, the killing in the nation of Israel, kings and tribal wars, all of that add to serving other gods, guaranteed where we are. And that's what we don't understand. We had to go into slavery. We broke faith with the Creator, as it is mentioned specifically in the book of Ezekiel. And it tells us that we'll probably see that as we go along, looking at unfulfilled prophecies. It goes on to say,
which I have said before thee, and thou shalt bethink thyself among the nations, whither Jehovah thy God had driven thee.
That's what happened to me personally. I remember when I started thinking, and it was when I realized that church and Christianity, because I was a Christian, and I'll tell people, hey, I love the spirituality in the Baptist church. I mean, that's what connected me. Hearing those beautiful songs to God made me feel that ruach of my people and how they could praise the Creator like no other. I'll put any nation up against us praising the creator of heaven and earth. And I know we win every time. That's a gift that the Most High gave to his people Israel. It wouldn't make sense for another people to be able to praise the creator greater than his own people, the Israelites. That's why 150 psalms are read by other nations called Tehillim, which means praises to Yah. And that's what we must understand, not the distorted teachings that come with religion. This is the Bible, pure and straight, plain and clear. It says,
and shall return unto Jehovah thy God, and hearken to his voice according to all that I commanded this day, thou and thy children with all thy heart and with all thy soul.
Now you know that's unfulfilled. Some people say, well, the Jews have fulfilled that. Oh no, they have not. You got to look at all of the things that we'll be reading, because again, they're supposed to be having peace in the land of Israel. They're supposed to be having the hand of God with them. And it's nothing but confusion in Israel. Even when the war's over, even a few days ago, we see that war's about to almost break out again between the Palestinians and the Jews. And you look and see that those Jews don't fit that being scattered all over the world. They came back to Israel on their own. They had the nations put them there. This was not a hand of God. So let's understand spirituality as opposed to religion and things that men do by force or by their power and rule, because men and nations are at war with the Most High. That's what's going on. It's all through the Bible. And that's why we will see things have to happen, because the prophecies cannot be fulfilled by men. We were scattered by the Creator, and he's the only one that can fulfill this prophetic, unfulfilled word. It says,
that then Jehovah thy God will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the peoples, whither Jehovah thy God hath scattered thee.
You see, now you know that all the people that were scattered, if you say it's Jews, even using them in falsehood, they haven't been gathered. They're all in Russia, they're all over the world. And of course, the true Israelites that went into slavery, you know they have not been gathered nor brought back, but we've mentioned they're in the land of Israel, over 100,000 Beta Yisrael, airlifted there by the Jews, and they had to do it as a covert operation. You can just go and read the newspapers. It's all in the history books, how they got there. And of course, you know, Ben Ami led Israelites by the thousands into the Mona, and they're still coming from all over the world, realizing, in fact, the Jews are trying to put out some of the true Israelites out the land, 46 of them. And that's a contention right there. So this is a controversy that's on the world stage today. It has to be settled, and only the Creator will be the one that can settle who are the true people. And that's why unfulfilled prophecies await everyone on the planet. It's in everyone's interest to know the truth. It says,
if any of thine that are dispersed be in the utmost parts of heaven, from thence will Jehovah thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And Jehovah thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers.
Now listen to all of these things that have happened, that he will gather you, and he will bring you and put you into this land, and that he will let you possess it once again, and he will do thee even greater blessings and multiply thee above your ancient forefathers. That has not happened. This is an unfulfilled prophecy. And the only controversy is, who are the real people that fit these prophetic words? It says,
and Jehovah thy God will circumcise thy heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love Jehovah thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul.
In other words, the Creator is going to cleanse their hearts and their children's hearts, their minds, so that they'll have a good, clear understanding of what they've done. They're going to repent, and they're going to return and do the laws. This is unfulfilled prophecy, especially if you know that these are the slaves that were brought into the Western Hemisphere under colonization.
And Jehovah thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, that persecuted thee.
Oh, these are things where I can know. You know, when I said earlier, the church can't teach this on television. Even if it's the Jews, they won't teach it. it seems to be that this is a forbidden area, talking about the true and the name of God, because our reader kept saying, the Lord thy God is going to do this, Yahweh thy God. If God has a name, and he does, it means that this is a particular power that is going to do all of these things. And you know you didn't hear any of those Christian names, no other God names that you hear mentioned, and this is true too. If we go in to the original language and try to see what name and who is actually the Lord thy God, I'm telling you, it says Yehovah Eloheka, Yehovah thy God. And it can be proven, even if you don't know Hebrew. On my phone, some of these phones are smarter than we are. My phone is smarter than I am. It can even tell me and translate other languages. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist to get these facts. You just got to search. Those who seek truth earnestly, Creator says you're going to find it. And that's all we're asking you to do on this program. Just follow it. Just try to investigate. It doesn't hurt to look and dig in a spot where there may be gold. Just stay there. You have nothing to lose. Just investigate what we're saying. Think about it. Listen to one of the songs that might stimulate and inspire you to do it.
And thou shalt return and hearken to the voice of Jehovah, and do all his commandments which I commanded this day.
Yes, finish it up.
And Jehovah thy God will make thee overabundant in all the work of thy hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle,
You're
and in
going
the
to
fruit of thy land.
prosper. You're going to prosper as a people, it says.
For good. For Jehovah will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers.
When?
If thou shalt hearken to the voice of Jehovah thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law. If thou return unto Jehovah thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul.
There's the condition why we will be returned and how we will be returned. That's why you find all over this world, Israelites are popping up and returning to the Lord. You never heard Black people speak about Torah before. Now you're hearing Torah through so many programs across the internet, and people are keeping the Sabbath day. Even though the media doesn't cover it, we're keeping Yom Kippur, we're keeping Kag, the Feast of Tabernacles, we're keeping all the holy days, but the media won't cover us. That's why people don't know. It's only on YouTube and the internet. They won't put us on Channel 2, Channel 7, and all the other broadcast stations. Why is there prejudice against this particular teaching? There's a reason why. It's a conspiracy that is deep-rooted in nations and in the religions of those nations. Let's listen and think as we listen to some beautiful words in a song.
Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Their minds are in the desert, their hearts are in the world. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Their minds are in the desert, their hearts are in the world. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world. Jacob tried to all his strangers' ways. Work and play at night now, sleeping in the day. There's total confusion, like living in a haze. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world. Now we star in movies, beating up the man. But in a stark reality, we're scared to lift a hand. There's no sign of justice if you're black or tan. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world. As the law of Moses
we have clean forgot. Shrimps fry in the frying pan and pork is in the pot. Aches and pain and sickness, that's our weary lot. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world. Our father Jacob, he had 12 sons. Don't care for usurpers, we know we're the one. Thanks to God Almighty, but forget about the son. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Their minds are really up, their hearts are in the world. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world. Now we be in Guyana to find a place to live, to see another black man with a lot of love to give. Thanks to God Almighty, for his word is truly true. Jacob, you better wake up before you're through. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Their minds are in it up, their hearts are in the world. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Their minds are in it up, their hearts are in the world. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world. Jacob, you better wake up all over the world.
The light is not on the camera. We want to let you know that over 40 years ago, this song was recorded in Guyana, in the Guyana Broadcasting radio station. And I can see the faces of those who were singing, many of them deceased today. That was led by Seren Yasadai, Gavret Tikwa was there, Gavret Majania, and it was just a nostalgic moment to recall how we had traveled across the Atlantic and over 40 years ago took Cohane Levy's song and put it to the steel band with our brother Uman Ben Levy and produced this wonderful, powerful piece with the steel band and a song that had come from the United States of America with awakened Israelites. Now having thousands of awakened Israelites in this part of the world, in the Caribbean, it's a great pride that goes along with listening to that song and how we spread this truth throughout the West Indies. Our Rastafarian brothers are waking up in all Israel. Even churches are beginning to realize that they are the very people that they're reading about in the Bible. We continue in our unfulfilled prophecy with one found in the book of Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah. That name alone tells you that this is an African people with an Eastern African language, because Ivrit, Hebrew, is an African language, an Eastern language. And we look at the precept in Jeremiah 31 through 34, those verses. Toda.
Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah.
Many people use this first phrase, not even a completed thought or sentence, to say that the old covenant was done away with, which is certainly not true when you read the rest of this prophecy. It says,
Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in a day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt.
in other words, why?
For as much as they broke my covenant, although I was Lord over them, saith Yahweh.
In other words, he's saying I could have ruled over them. It wasn't because I was not able to subdue and make Israel obey me, but it was because they broke the covenant and I was their God, even though they broke it. But this is going to be the new covenant. They broke that one. And many of them in between the lines are saying they really didn't know the covenant. Moses knew the law, the priests knew the laws, and the prophets knew the laws. But generally, the people had never been sovereign enough and strong enough to obey the law to actually implement it throughout their society as a constitution. We constantly were at war, at odds with our Creator, and it's clearly written throughout the Bible.
But this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh. I will put my law in their inward parts.
In other words, he's going to put this law inside of each and every Israelite. They won't have to say, teach me, because everyone is going to know. How are we learning this? I can tell you from my own experience. By going to the temple every Shabbat, listening to the laws being taught throughout the year, starting in Genesis, going to Deuteronomy, going back to Genesis again by repetition, called Bishanantam in Hebrew, that we read it every year. We go through these 5 books, knowing it. And those of us who've been in this way of life for decades, if you really study and you really pay attention, you listen, and you go to the temple regularly, you're going to know these laws, and it's being put in your inward parts by the repetition of application as well as study. That's how it's being done. Many Israelites know the laws, and they don't have to be taught, or they have teachers that can take them to a higher level, but the basic understanding, they have it.
And in their heart will I write it, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people.
Now, this is unfulfilled prophecy, because you know that the people have not yet begun to do all the law, and even amongst the Jewish religion, you have conservative, reform, Jews for Jesus. You got all of that mixed up in there, still confusing. They don't even meet the fulfillment of these prophecies.
And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother,
Saying,
know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahweh.
so that we are developing personal relationships with the Creator. If you know prophecies, he's speaking about in between the lines, there's a remnant of people that are going to be sincere and truthful. And those are the ones, the cream of the crop, that will rise up. And through them, I will fulfill my prophetic words.
For I will forgive their iniquity, and their sin will I remember no more.
Because only a remnant are going to really, truly lay this to heart and do the Lord with all their heart and with all their souls. You know, one of the prophets that is perhaps the most, I would say, extensive prophet in terms of prophecy into the future is Yeshayahu, the prophet Isaiah. And I'd like it to look at Isaiah 45, verses 18 to 25. But some of his prophecies we won't cover today because they take us far into the future. In fact, I hope they don't shut me down by going to some of those prophecies maybe in weeks to come. We'll see. But some people just don't want the truth to be told, no matter how it's said. In Isaiah 45, verses 18 to 25, here's an unfulfilled prophecy. I think it's safe territory.
For thus saith Jehovah that created the heavens. He is God, that formed the earth and made it. He established it. He created it not a waste. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Jehovah, and there's none else.
I just don't understand why nobody wants to say Jehovah. In Judaism, they say, no, that's the forbidden name. You can't say it. And in the Bibles and Christian religions, they won't even translate his name. They'll translate Moses. They'll translate all the names, but they won't translate God's name. Why? Why are they afraid of the true and living creator and maker of heaven and earth? Because the Bible is telling you that it's about his name, his name, his name. He's speaking about his name, but nobody wants to say it or write it, except for this program and programs like this, the Hebrew Israelites who were given the name. That's why we know it's the end of days, because prophecy said this would come, this time would come, when truth would re-enter. Now, you can't expect the truth to come with the same thing that's already being told as a lie. It has to be different. This is the truthful difference. The Bible being explained as it was written and understood. It says,
I have not spoken in secret, in a place of the land of darkness.
these are prophecies that's in every Bible. That's why no one should be angry with me or with our program for going through these prophecies, because he said this is not a secret. It's not in a land of darkness that I said these things to Moses and to Isaiah and Jeremiah and Ezekiel and to Amos and to Zechariah and to Habakkuk. He said it wasn't no secret. I wanted these things to be said. That's why the Europeans did not destroy these books of the Bible. It was too important. It says.
I said not unto the seed of Jacob, seek ye me in vain.
And he was going to say Yaakov, which is Jacob's original name. His name was never called Jacob. His name was Yaakov, because he held on to the heel of Esau, and that's why he received the name.
I, Jehovah, speak righteousness.
That's what I'm speaking. I'm speaking what he said. That's why it's righteousness. I'm not giving you my own version and my own words. I'm explaining what's on paper in the Bible in front of you.
I declare things that are right.
Only the Creator declare things that are right.
Assemble yourselves and come. Draw near together.
Right. Why is he the only one to clear things that are right? I'll give you a challenge. Every man is a liar. You disagree or you disagree. Bring me the man that is not a never told a lie. The Creator is the only one who's righteous.
Ye that are escaped of the nations, they have no knowledge that carry the word of the graven image.
Escape mentally. That's what he's saying. Ye that are escaped means that there are going to be some Israelites that are going to escape, and they have no knowledge, the people that carry these wooden idols and graven images. But those Israelites that awaken, they know this is falsehood. They are the Israelites that are speaking all over the internet and standing up all around the world saying, we worship Yah.
And pray unto our God that cannot save.
And we know that dead gods cannot save, and we know that anything other than Jehovah is an abomination. That's why we can't follow the religions. And if you want to believe it, you have a right to. But we have a right to our understanding as well. That's all we're saying. If you want to be whatever you want to be, serve your God of your people. We're just telling you that we will serve Jehovah, our God. And we know who he is, once again, Torah to the Most High.
Declare ye, and bring them near. Yea, let them take counsel together. Who hath announced this from ancient time, and declared it of old?
Anybody, any God you got that prophesied these things beside the Creator, bring it forth, let's put it to the test. I'm telling you, this supersedes and precedes all religious teachings on earth.
Have not I Jehovah? And there is no God else beside me.
You know, when you speak about ways of life as opposed to religion, see, Islam is a way of life. When they say what it is, people call it religion, but I've heard they'll teachers say, and I've spoken with many imams, they say that's a way of life. And I know that the Baalim and the Assyrians that served those gods of Canaan, that wasn't a religion, that was their way of life. Our way of life is Torah, and that's what we want you to know. We do not have in our vocabulary a word called religion. Our way of life is we live by the Torah, the laws, the statutes, and the commandments and the judgments given to Moses on Mount Sinai in Africa. Mount Sinai is in Africa, to an African people, and their lifestyle is lived today around the world amongst the Igbos, the Ashanti, the Falasha, the Hebrew Israelites. We all live by Torah, and many, many more that we've not mentioned, it says.
A just God and a Savior. And there is none beside me.
That's what we know. That's why people can't be angry when we follow the Bible. We are commanded to look to no one else. Only the Creator can save us. He's the one who did this to us. He's the only one that can deliver us out of this oppression, out of this hatred, discrimination. That is a hand of God. Why do we see God in everything, but we lose him in slavery? It couldn't have happened without the Creator ordaining it. And why would he ordain it? The Bible tells you. We broke his laws, statutes, and commandments. We became an unrighteous people.
Look unto me and be ye saved, all ends of the earth.
Now, see, now you can't say that God, the Creator, only loves Israel. Yahweh is prejudiced. It's not true. He just told you. Look unto him, the ends of the earth, wherever you are. If you're looking for salvation, if you're looking for the true God that can save you, this program is telling you who he is. He can save you. I don't care if you're Hispanic, Asiatic. All he wants all of us to live in righteousness and give him the glory. That's what this program is telling you, and that's what the Bible says. It goes on to say,
For I am God, and there's none else.
what can be plainer than that? It can't be any plainer than that. Ani Elohim with Ein Od. Could say it in any language. None else means there's nobody else. Can you stop right there and just live on that? We the Israelites do. That's why we don't have a problem. You have a problem with us changing. We can't change. Your problem is you won't change, and if you don't, here's what the Bible's telling you. You cannot serve any other God and expect the Creator to help and save you. Call on the God that you believe in. Let's see if he'll deliver you out of Yah's hand.
By myself have I sworn, the word has gone forth from my mouth in righteousness, and shall not come back.
Listen to that now, because there's no sense speaking about prophecy and not having this understanding. The Creator is saying everything that he has said, it will not come back to him void and empty. It will be fulfilled. And we must take into consideration everything that he has already said would happen has come into fruition. Israel went into captivity under the Assyrians. He said it. He told us that we would go to Babylon by Jeremiah. We did. He said that the Greeks would come in and conquer them, and they did. He said that the Roman Empire would raise up in Daniel, and they did. He said that Rome would fall and fall into 10 different nations, and they did. And he said that they would even become a nation that would spread around the world, and that all happened. Everything that he's prophesied has come to pass, that we would be scattered by ships into slavery around the world, and we have been. And now we're dealing with unfulfilled prophecy, things that bring us to the end of the matter. See, the slave masters, the oppressors, forgot about, or they just don't want to deal with the end of the matter. What will be the end of what happened in Moses' time, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's time, Isaiah prophecy, Jeremiah, what will be the end of the matter with the Israelites? They're still in the world. No Bible says they've been wiped out. The controversy is who are they, where are they, and who's going to fulfill this prophecy? That's what we're all waiting to see. Time will tell. Time always tells the story, the true story. It says,
That unto me every knee shall bow, every tongue shall swear.
we all know, look at the world today. That hasn't happened. The Israelites are bowing and swearing to him. Jews are claiming that they're bowing and swearing to him too. But now the question is, did the Creator come under amnesia? Did he forget who his people are. So that's why we, the Israelites, we don't have no problem. We know that in his time, he'll deal with everything and everybody. The end of the matter, all having been heard, we just right now, we're going to fear the Creator, keep his commandments, and let time play out. And we know that the prophecies that we've read will be fulfilled by him and with us, it says.
Only in Yahweh shall one say of me is victory and strength. Even to him shall men come in confusion, all they that were incensed against him. In Yahweh shall all the seed of Israel be justified and shall glory.
That's where you're going to get your glory. You're going to get your glory in the Most High and the victory that he's going to bring in freeing us from all these captive nations where he's scattered us around the world. Let's go to Isaiah 46, verses 5 to 13. Yeshayahu, he goes into prophecies in the future. We didn't cover them today. Perhaps in time we'll get into it. And there's some terrible prophecies that are unfulfilled. And if we listen to those, it would only be that I would pray that you would not think it is something of doomsday and that we're heralding in and wishing for a doomsday. No, we don't know who's going to be saved. No one should usher in and be wanting the end of days. No, that's not our program. What we're talking about is the truth, and the truth must be told. And sometimes the truth, people just don't want to hear the truth. And some of the terrible things, we can avoid it. It's like the news today. Some people don't want to listen to the news because they say it's bad. I think it's better to know what's happening than to not know what's happening in the news. They could be telling you tomorrow is going to be an earthquake in your neighborhood and you didn't listen. You couldn't get out of it. It could be anything. Be informed. And informed people, Cohane Levi said, are wise people. And it's true. It goes on to say,
To whom will ye liken? To whom will ye liken me?
let's think about that. It's a question. Many writers provoke the thoughts of the listener with a question. To whom then will you liken me that I may be equal, saith the Most High? That's him speaking. He wants to know, who do you compare unto him? And it says further.
And make me equal, and compare me, that we may be like.
Because they say about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and the Creator says, I, Yehovah, Eloheinu, Echad. Yehovah's one. So we know there's no Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. But there are other gods and religions that say they're God, or their religion says they're God, and the Creator's saying, no, there's nobody else. And who would you compare with me? Give me his name. Creator can hear it, and he's dealing with these things on earth today. And he says,
Ye that lavish gold out of the bag, and weigh silver in the balance.
you people with the money to make silver gods and gold gods and make huge statues of God. He says further.
Ye that are hired, a goldsmith, that he make it good, make it a god.
Will you compare him unto me?
To fall down thereto, yea, to worship.
He said, if you're going to compare something like that to the God that gives the breath of life, that made heaven and earth, the mountains, the stars, the moon, the sun, and the universe, you're going to compare an image made by a goldsmith to me? That's what the Creator's saying. And you have to understand the Bible.
He is borne upon the shoulder.
That statue has to be carried. And if it's too heavy, they have to put it in a vehicle or a wagon or something to move it. He can't walk.
He is carried and set in his place, and he standeth.
He can do nothing on his own, is what the Bible is saying. Why do you worship things like that are graven images and idols?
From his place he doth not remove.
He can't move. When you put him someplace, those statues, those courts, they can't get out. They can't go anywhere else. That's it.
Yea, though one cry unto him, he cannot answer.
You can pray, you can cry, you can cut yourself. He can't answer you. We had gods that the Baalim prophets prayed to. You can read it in the book of Ezekiel, and you see that they cut themselves, blood gush out. That won't get you an answer from God.
Nor save him out of his trouble.
Nor can it save you out of your trouble, calling on an idol or something that's not the true and living maker of heaven and earth. Remember this.
And stand fast, Bring it to mind, O you transgressors.
Or you that are doing those things, the Bible saying, think about, consider it. This is not to shame you, it's to let you understand the Bible. It's your choice whether you want to serve the Creator or an idol. We're just teaching truth so that you can make an intelligent decision and choice.
Remember the former things of old, that I am God, and there is none else.
That's all you'll find in this book that I'm reading. Throughout the Old Testament, it says over and over, Jehovah's God. He never changes until you get into other books and other religions, so-called religions that try to connect themselves with our spiritual teachings of the Old Testament. This is not religion. This is a way of life and the history of the people that had that particular way of life. They're the very slaves brought under colonization, whether they remained in Africa or whether they went in ships to the West.
I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning.
Seems like this God is very boastful and determined about the fact that he's God and he's willing to say it before anyone who's willing to challenge him.
And from ancient times, things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and all my pleasure will I do.
And whatever I want to do and whatever I said, that will be done. That's what has been done, and the future will only be what I have said will be. No one else will declare it. And they haven't been able to declare because men die, religions die, and the Creator is from everlasting to everlasting, and so is his truth and his people Israel.
Calling a bird of prey from the east, the men of my counsel from a far country. Yea, I have spoken, I will also bring it to pass. I have proposed, I will also do it.
Listen, who speaks that strongly, emphatically? Only the Most High can do it. He says, I have spoken it, it shall come to pass. I have proposed, and I will do it. No one can stop him from fulfilling these unfulfilled prophecies.
Hearken unto me, ye stout-hearted, that are far from righteousness.
That's who we're speaking to. People that are opposed to this truth. Humble your spirit. Don't be angry with us. Read your Bible intelligently. Investigate what we're saying. Look and check the Hebrew language so that you can know and verify where they have falsely translated and that you can know and understand the true name of God is Jehovah. Elohe Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yisrael, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Exodus says that it's his memorial throughout all generations. If you want to get salvation and not make the mistake of calling on the false God, live a righteous life. Call on the maker of heaven and earth. Call on the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, his power. Call on the Holy One of Israel. Call on Jehovah Zepha'ot, God of hosts, Elohim, El Shaddai, Ha'el-Yon, the Most High. You have to know the name that will connect you with your salvation. You may make the Creator angry if you call on him and mention another God. He's a jealous God, and it's written in the Bible. Thou shalt have no other deities, no other powers before me. Not your mother, not your father, not your president, not your king, not any creature or anything that's in heaven or in earth or in the waters beneath this earth. None of those creatures or created things can be the Creator that made it all. It's wisdom, it's knowledge, and it's the true understanding of the Bible. Let's listen to another song before we go in. As we finish out that verse, let's finish out that last verse.
I bring near my righteousness, it shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry, and I will place salvation in Zion for Israel, my glory.
And you know, Zion, I know Zion Williamson, playing basketball now, powerful, strong, heavy built man. You know, when you look at the children today, they're starting to take on the stature of ancient Israel. We were a bigger people in size and stature than we are today. Our children are a sign of that coming back because they're now being born with talent, with a body and skill and physical strength that is far above those slaves that got off the ships in the 400 years that we've spent in America. It's a spirit of Yah being put on our people and our children in particular that's causing this awakening and this rise. And it's because of the previous generations that came under post-traumatic slave syndrome. They were oppressed and it has troubled their souls and spirits. Many of them grandmothers and grandfathers prayed for the day when their children and their children's children would see the favor of the Most High, where the captivity would turn, and those prayers are being fulfilled in us and in our seed that are raising up all over this earth, because the prophetic time for fulfillment of prophecies in the Bible are occurring as I speak to you at this very time. Let's listen to a little music, then we'll look at some more unfulfilled prophecies. Without my king.
I want to praise, I want to praise, I want to praise, I want to praise. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. Yeah. I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. Without my King. I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. Without my King. When it's over, when it's said and done, He will be here, the one from which we come. Said from the beginning, oh, so when we leave, He will be here. So in Him I believe. So I sing my praise. I want to praise. I want to praise. I want to praise. He gives me life. I won't survive without my King. Without my King. I want to serve. I want to serve. I want to serve. I want to serve. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. Without my King. I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. I won't survive without my King. I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King. I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing, I want to sing. He gives me life, I won't survive without my King.
Yes, without my King, without our King, we cannot survive. You know that mainstream television stations even forbid European Christian teachers, and many of them agree with what we're saying. They don't allow them on mainstream programs either. But they are on the internet. I've even featured some Europeans who said we are the people and that Jehovah is God. It's known. People have heard of Jehovah Witnesses. That's the same word, just with a different translation. But they're saying the name of God too. And this is not a strange teaching. It's just the oppressed truth teachings that are on the planet. It's not popular with those that are in power and that rule the earth. And that's just the fact of the matter. Nonetheless, all over the earth, among people of all races, there are Japanese, Black people that in Japan saying they're the house of Israel. There are people in China that saying they're connected with the house of Israel. And some of them have features that you can't doubt it. But the Most High said in Amos, though I have sifted you in a sieve like corn is sifted in a sieve, not the least grain will fall to the ground. Not one Israelite is going to be lost, even though you've been mixed, because some Israelites have been intermarried in other nations. He knows your heart, he knows your mind, he knows your seed and your bloodline. And he's gathering Israel from around the world. And he's not prejudiced. That's why he says, look unto me all the ends of the earth. And he goes on to say things to let you know that everyone can find salvation that wants it in the Most High, maker of heaven and earth. Come sheep.
Hearken to me, he that follow after righteousness, he that seek Yahweh. Look unto the rock whence you were hewn, and to the hole of the pit whence you are digged.
Let's try and think, what could that possibly mean? The Creator is saying, hearken unto me, ye that follow after righteousness. Most people will say he's talking to me, but as he qualifies the statement, that's why you can't read one line in the Bible. You have to start at the first verse and go and read consecutively so you can see and understand in sequence what is being said.
Look unto Abraham your father, and unto Sarah that bore you.
Oh, Abraham. See, that's why I mentioned Abraham in the beginning, because if you don't know the history of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, there's no way you're going to understand prophecy. But those of us that do know the promise that was made to Abraham, therefore we can tune in and understand why the prophet would say, look unto Abraham. He's the beginning of Israel's blessings and their covenant.
For when he was but one, I called him.
One man, I called him alone and made him the father of a multitude of nations because of his righteousness, his faith and belief and trust in the Almighty. It was a Black man. Unfortunately, for others, it just happened to be a Black man, but it's no sin, no trouble, no incident against you. It's just who he chose. And these were the ones who would get the curse. Now, when it comes to the curse of Israel, Abraham's seed, you know you don't want that. So it's not a blessing only, it was a blessing or a curse. And we've been under the curse more than we've been under the blessing. So you have nothing that you want from this curse that we have experienced. Just think about it. When you think of Abraham and what happened to his seed, but there's an end of the matter, the unfulfilled prophecy that we must understand. It says,
and I blessed him and made him many.
that's right, made him many. Let me give you some of the many. All the seed of Israel, all of the Ishmaelites called the Arab nation, they're the sons of Ishmael, they're our cousins. All of the seed of Esau, which he's disappeared off the scene. And again, he too is one of those nations. And we all know that, again, Abraham has, again, the father through the sons of Keturah, he has those seeds also. Some of his seed well-known, some of his seed unknown, controversy over Israel, controversy over some of the other people of Abraham's seed, but it's all gonna be made clear as time will tell the truthful story, and it's coming out little by little. Some people who are knowledgeable are aware of already these answers to some of these unfamiliar and unanswered questions for others. Someone always know, my father told me, what you don't know, ask somebody, because somebody always knows. Yah always put somebody in this world that knows the truth. There's never been a time where there's no one on earth that knew the truth. You just got to find the right teacher. And that's what you must know and understand. There are a lot of people say they know the truth, they're teaching the truth, but they're not. You have to have the discernment and have the Creator's love and favor so that you can see through these teachings. And there are many that you have to navigate your way through in order to find the truth. It says,
For Jehovah had comforted Zion. He had comforted all our waste places.
and Zion has a name. I think it's going to come up sooner or later in these readings, but I'll tell you, Zion is Jerusalem.
And hath made her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of Jehovah. Joy and gladness shall be found therein. Thanksgiving, the voice of
I'm going
melody.
to turn their situation around. They're going to be comforted. Israel and the land of Israel. The desert's going to be a garden.
Attend unto me, O my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation.
Oh, whoever they are, there's a controversy over it. I'm telling you, all of you who are descendants, rising ascendants from the slaves that were formerly slaves in the West and in Africa, it's to you the Bible is speaking.
Yet joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. Attend unto me, O my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation. For instruction shall go forth from me, and my right on a sudden for a light of the people.
That's why it started suddenly, it's just bringing up in recent years. For me, it started in the 60s. Some of you have been coming in, the light's been getting brighter and brighter. But all of us who've been, some people have known this before I knew it, in the 60s, in the 50s, in the 40s, 30s. If they're alive, their hearts must be throbbing with joy.
My favor is near.
Because we've seen Yah's favor draw more and more towards us.
My salvation is gone forth.
And he's helping us and delivering us little by little all over this earth.
And mine arms shall judge the people.
And judgment is coming to the others.
The isles shall wait for me.
And we know all through the Caribbean, they're calling on God. In Barbados, the awakening in the Caribbean for the true and living God is at an all-time high. Even the churches, they're questioning the Bible, seeking to seek out what is the true understanding.
And on mine arm shall they trust.
And it's more and more by the Spirit of the Most High, not by power, nor by might, but by your Spirit, he's turning and moving us towards him. I pray for this every time I do this program.
Lift up your eyes to the heavens, and look upon the earth beneath. For the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment.
And I can see all these things. There's trouble up in heaven right now. Things are falling out the sky. The rockets that they've sent up there, the satellites, they're struggling over a space war. And we get in now to where the phones don't work because there's so many interferences coming in, so many other problems that are happening on the planet with the problems. They're spending billions to go up into heaven, and people are dying because they can't get a vaccine shot, not enough of them. It's just ridiculous how people act. And they do not have a Yah spirit upon them. And that's the problem on the planet today. The spirit of Yah, a love of God, true and living God is missing, and there's a determination to destroy his name and his people Israel. And that's why the trouble will not stop until these nations stop what they're doing. This is their last warning days before it's going to be too late for any salvation.
And they that dwell therein shall die in like manner, but my salvation shall be forever.
See what I'm telling you? Some are going to die. It's your choice. Some are going to be saved among all mankind.
And my favor shall not be abolished.
And he's not going to lose his favor. He's telling you, his favor, his love, his salvation, his favor towards those that do good, it's not going to be destroyed. Even though I'm saying all these things are going to happen that are not good to the evildoers, I'm not going to abolish my salvation and my good towards those that I love and favor. Hearken.
Hearken unto me, he that know righteousness.
That's what everybody should be striving for. I don't care what your complexion or color or hue or skin is. Are you a righteous person? That's the word that is the key word today. And he said, I'm going to call him by a new name, Zidiquenu. Yahuwah Zidiquenu. Yahuwah is our righteousness.
The people in whose heart is my law. Fear ye not the taunt of men, neither be he dismayed at their revilings.
Even though they say we're stupid, we're crazy because we don't look onto their Savior, he said, don't listen to them. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the tone of men. You just keep that law in your heart and apply it every day. Get your mind, as I told you, I'll keep teaching you until you again see my salvation.
For the moth shall eat them up like a garment, and the worm shall eat them like wool.
You can see how death is encompassing the wicked all over the earth.
But my favor shall be forever, and my salvation unto all generations.
For everyone that's doing righteousness, his salvation is there, and it will be there to all generations.
Awake, awake, put on strength.
So now, you know that's not speaking to everybody, only to the sleeping people. Now I want to ask all the people in the world, of all the people on the planet, who do you think is mentally asleep? And I want to say it's the Negro, the black man. He's the one that's mentally, spiritually asleep. He doesn't know himself, doesn't know his language, doesn't know his history, doesn't know where he came from. I want you to show me anyone that's more asleep, mentally dead than the black man that was brought under colonization. It says,
O arm of Jehovah, awake as in the days of old.
He's talking to a people from the days of old. Can't be none of these modern nations. Anyone after 1 AD, you're not in the story. You're not an ancient nation. They have to be one of them ancient nations, Syrians, Babylonians, Egyptians, Moabites, Ammonites, Philistines. Then you're in the ball game. And none of them can fulfill it. Some of them have been totally annihilated. So when you really boil it all down, the only thing left is the Negro, who's become the black man. All those terms, a byword and a proverb, which fit him according to Deuteronomy 28. He's the one that's serving these false gods that are the gods of not his forefathers, but his captives. And you're the arm. You're the people that he chose to be his spokesman. That's why Isaiah, you, the black man, are a nation of priests. It says it. Israel, you're a nation of priests. You have to stand up, become a holy man, woman, elder, child, boy, girl, living by the laws, thou shalt not kill, murder, steal. Of course, murder is the true word, not kill. Thou shalt not lie one unto another, not covet. Thou shalt have no other gods beside me. Thou shalt remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. On and on and on. All the laws from Genesis to Deuteronomy. You return to that, and your captivity will start to turn like day turns into night and night turns into day. Overnight, practically, if we just would return to the true and living Creator, do his laws, statutes, and commandments, our condition will change, and the condition on the planet will change as well. Everybody will come to the point where we all will live in love and harmony according to the law of the Torah and worship the Creator. No more false, speak up. No more false gods. Continue.
The generations of ancient times, are thou not it that hewed Rahab in pieces, that pierced the dragon? Are thou not it that dried up the sea?
Now let's think about that. Because unless you know Bible history, you're not going to know what Rahab and all that means. See, Rahab is a poetic name for Egypt. And the dragon was the crocodile that the Egyptians worshiped in the sea. So if you know that when say they pierced the dragon, in other words, it's talking about we destroyed Moses with those plagues. The Creator executed judgments against the gods of Egypt. So this reference is to ancient Egypt, Rahab being the poetic name. And of course, Rahab was also the harlot that hid the two spies that Joshua sent into the land. But this one, many people don't know. It's a poetic name for Egypt. It goes on to say,
Are thou not it that dried up the sea, the waters of the great deep, that made the depths of the sea a way for the redeemed to pass over?
the Reed Sea. You got to know Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy to understand the prophets and what they're saying. Most people start with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You're never going to understand the Bible unless you go back and read the first 5 books known as the Torah, so you can see the foundation, the groundwork, the background to the rest of the Bible.
And the ransomed of Jehovah shall return, and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their heads.
Oh man, you can see there's some joy waiting for the black man if he returns to the Creator, maker of heaven and earth. Zion is Jerusalem, and again, Jerusalem is synonymous with the people. So sometimes Jerusalem can be the land, other time it can mean Israel, the people of Israel being Yerushalayim. It goes on to say,
And everlasting joy shall be upon their heads. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away.
oh boy, look at what awaits the people of Israel, the black man that will return to the Most High, the end of the matter, the unfulfilled prophecy. We look again at our next prophecy, and let's take that from Isaiah 62, Yeshayahu 62, verses 1 through 12.
For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest.
Now let's think about that. Earlier I said that Zion is synonymous with Jerusalem. It's because it's true, and it's being verified right here. And in this instance, it's talking about the people as well as the land. Come see.
Until her triumph go forth as brightness.
Until her victory go forth, there will be no rest given to the Creator. And he's saying, don't stop speaking and asking for your deliverance, salvation, and victory. Give my ears no rest and her salvation. Keep calling. You'll see it says that.
And her salvation as a torch that burns.
That torch is getting brighter and brighter. The fire on this earth is increasing daily.
And the nation shall see thy triumph.
And other nations going to see what happens to this people Israel. It's not the Jewish man. You know that doesn't even fit into what we're reading here. It says,
And all kings thy glory.
that's right. They are not, the glory is not yet in the land of Israel, nor the true people.
And thou shalt be called by a new name.
A new name, which the Creator is going to give you. But you got to understand that this is really more an attribute of a name.
Which the mouth of Jehovah shall mark out.
Come see.
Thou shalt also be a crown of beauty in the hand of Jehovah.
In other words, you're going to be like a people on this earth that's his crowning glory in the earth. You're going to be a righteous and a holy people, black man. Like it or not, that's where you're headed.
And the royal diadem in the open hand of thy God.
You're going to be like a crown, again, like the high priest headwear in the hand of the Creator.
Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken.
You're going to no longer be a people destitute and suffering like we are around the world today.
Neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate.
And no, Israel is going to be inhabited, and it's going to be inhabited with my own people.
Thou shalt be called, my delight is in her.
Kepsiba, meaning my delight is in her. That's the new name. And thy land,
a spouse, for Yahuwah delighteth in thee.
because you've changed your ways. You're no longer a wicked and an evil people, but when we become a righteous people, this is going to be the blanket that covers our character.
And thy land shall be a spouse.
Be married once again with the Creator.
For as a young man espouseth a virgin,
So
shall thy sons espouse thee. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall thy God rejoice.
no longer will our young boys be killing and shooting in the streets across America. When this light comes to them, and I pray it does, they will no longer, they're going to be like a bridegroom rejoicing over the bride of the people of Israel. They're going to be the ones that actually protect and not destroy our nation.
I have set watchmen upon thy
A
walls,
truth and a light, even the leadership of Israel is going to be united.
O Jerusalem. They shall never hold their peace.
Day and night,
Ye that are Yahuwah's remembrancers,
yes, the prayer warriors,
take ye no rest,
don't stop praying.
and give him no rest,
Give him no rest. He's saying, do this. The Creator's saying, give him no rest.
till he establish,
Until he establish,
until he make Jerusalem
until he make the true people
a praise in the earth.
a praise in this earth. And that yet has not come to pass. But it's coming slowly but surely. You can see the signs, how we're being viewed differently around the world. More honor, more dignity. It's coming from dignified Israelites, whether they're in sports, whether they're entertainers or actors, whether they're Israelites living this way of life on the planet today. They are in existence, it says.
Yahuwah hath sworn by his right hand, and by the arm of his strength. Surely I will no more give thy corn to be food for thine enemies, and strangers shall not drink thy wine, for which thou hast labored.
But
They that have garnered it shall eat it, and praise Yahuwah, and they that have gathered it shall drink it in the courts of my sanctuary. Go through the gates
clear the way of the
of
people.
the people. Cast up the highway.
Gather out the stones.
Lift up an ensign over the peoples. Behold, Yahuwah hath proclaimed unto the end of the earth. Say ye to the daughter of Zion,
To
behold,
Jerusalem, the people of Jerusalem, of Israel.
thy salvation cometh.
It hasn't come yet, but it's on the way, and you can see the groundwork for it already laid out. Behold,
His reward is with him.
and his recompense, the repayment to
Before
those
him.
that did his people wrong, is also before him.
And they shall call them the holy people, the redeemed of Yahuwah.
Those have been restored by Jehovah, and they're going to be Africans taken from Northeast Africa.
And thou shalt be called salt out,
And everybody's going to be looking for them people that have the truth sooner or later. Some already are,
a city not forsaken.
because we're not going to be forsaken. We have not been forsaken. It's a punishment with a timeline on it. Let's take our last couple of precepts and let's read again Jeremiah 33, 14 to 26, and we'll close out with Amos 3 and 6 very quickly. Again, Jeremiah 33, verses 14 through verse 26 says a lot about unfulfilled prophecy.
Behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will perform that good word which I have spoken concerning the house of Israel,
Some good things concerning Israel are about to happen.
and concerning the house of Judah.
And also Judah. See, the Jews say they're Judah. The question is, where are the other tribes of Israel? Where's Reuben, Shimon, Naphtali, and Gad? They're in Nigeria. They're in Ghana. They're in South Africa. They're in Ethiopia. Some of them in Israel. Some of them are here in Guyana. Some are in Jamaica, in Trinidad, in Suriname, and again through the United States of America, Canada, Britain, and across Europe. The black people scattered all over there. That's where they are, it says.
In those days and at that time, will I cause the shoot of righteousness to grow up unto David, and he shall execute justice and righteousness in the land.
Meaning that in the tribe of Judah, a man, an individual is going to come up. There's going to be Yah's appointed one to fulfill this prophecy, meaning the king of Judah being restored to his throne.
In those days shall Judah be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely. And this is the name whereby she shall be called.
Yehovah Zidiquenu. Yehovah is our righteousness. Another one of those names, associated with the restoration of Yah's people. the true Israelites.
For thus saith Jehovah, there shall not be cut off unto David a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel.
Oh, that there's going to be a king on the throne of Israel that's from David's own family.
Neither shall there be cut off unto the priests and Levites a man before me to offer burnt offerings and to burn meat
So
offerings.
somewhere in this earth, he's not yet made himself known, not been made known by the Creator, is that seed that will sit on the throne of David. And neither has it been shown who is that priest and that Levite order that will be before Yah once again doing the offerings, the burnt offerings and the meal offerings that church said has been done away with. Prophecy says, unfulfilled prophecy, it will be done. And by those very Levites that the Creator chose, those very priests, Cohane of the house of Aaron. Prophecy tells us in Ezekiel, it'll be the seed of Zadok, the Levite and the priest, that will be a righteous priest by that name in this day and time, it says.
And to do sacrifice continually.
So in other words, that's all coming back against Christian doctrine. They said somebody died for all of that. It's been done away. Prophecy of the future says they're lying, it says.
And the word of Jehovah came unto Jeremiah, saying,
Thus saith Jehovah.
if he can break my covenant with day, and my covenant with the night, so that there should not be day and night in their season.
And no one has ever done it. Day and night still comes one after another in their ordinance, according to the Lord.
Then may also my covenant be broken with David my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne.
That has not been done, so David will have a son on the throne. The only way you can stop it is cut day and night coming in its order.
With the Levites the priests, my ministers, as the host of heaven cannot be numbered, neither the son of the sea measured, so will I multiply the seed of David, my servant, and the Levites that minister unto me.
Prophecy unfulfilled. It says further.
And the word of Jehovah came unto Jeremiah, saying,
Don't listen to those Christians and those people that say Israel has been done away with. He says in his own words,
considerest thou not what this people have spoken, saying, the two families which Jehovah did choose, he had cast them off.
He's cast off Judah and he cast off the Levite priesthood. He says that's not true. Don't believe it.
And they contemn my people, that there shall be no more a nation before them.
And they disrespect my people by saying they shall no more be a nation before me.
Thus saith Jehovah, if my covenant be not day and night, and
Be not with day and night.
And if I have not appointed the ordinance of heaven and earth, then will I also cast away the seed of Jacob.
If he's saying, if he's not the one that made day and night come as it does from the very beginning of creation, if he's not the one that again appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, if he is not the one that made Israel and Jacob his people, and if he did not cast them off, if he has cast them off, he said, if he's done any of these things, he said, so that I will not take of David's seed to be rulers over the house or the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he goes on to say, take it from where you left off.
Then will I also cast away the seed of Jacob and of David my servant, so that I will not take of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For I will cause their captivity to return and will have compassion on them.
In other words, he will have compassion. And it's already being seen throughout our people. And of course, there are many that still are under the curse because they have not returned. They're still under unrighteousness and idol worship. Our last precept is a beautiful one. It's just a few verses that makes prophecy clear as to who can prophesy and who can fulfill it. In the book of Amos, our final precept, the 3rd chapter, verses 6 through 8, and we find these words.
Shall the horn be blown in the city and the people not tremble?
Now let's think about it. Shall a news broadcast come across the television screen saying trouble is coming and people not listen? So that sign that they have, that because they have some sound that they make and then they put, this is only a test. One day it won't be a test, it'll be the real deal. But imagine in ancient days when it was an army invading, the horn of trouble was blown. Shall people not pay attention when a warning is given to them about death and destruction coming in their direction? It goes on to say,
Shall evil befall a city, and Yahweh have not done it?
Yahweh, it says, he said, I am Yahweh that created all things, even the wicked for the day of evil. I, Yahweh, doeth all things. And so he's saying, can anything happen in this world and the creator and maker of heaven and earth not be the one behind it? He could stop it or make it happen because he's the supreme power and intelligence of the universe. And ends out by saying,
For Yahweh will do nothing, but he revealed his counsel unto his servants, the prophets.
Now, that's not Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It's all the prophets that's in the Old Testament. Choose any one of them. That's who he's speaking about. And he also said in Deuteronomy that he would always send a prophet like unto Moses, of his brethren, of the house of Israel. That's the only person and persons that can come to the house of Israel and can be accepted as a prophet. You have to be one of the 12 tribes appointed, anointed by the Holy One of Israel, saying, Cohane Yahweh, and it's truthfully his words that you are speaking. We end up with the thought that we hope everyone will agree upon, and it says,
The lion had roared, who will not fear? Yahweh had spoken, who can but prophesy?
That's where we close our case. No one else, no other man except an Israelite can prophesy to Israel. They may be prophets and prophesy too, Nostradamus and others. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about my lane, our lane, the children of Israel. We stay in our lane, and the Torah is where we walk and live. May the Holy One of Israel bless you with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Yivareka Yehovah wa Yishmareka. Ya'ir Yehovah panayo aleka wikuneka. Yisa Yehovah panayo aleka wa yasem leka shalom. Yehovah bless thee and keep thee. Yehovah cause his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yehovah lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. So shall the Cohane place my name upon the children of Israel, and I, Yehovah, will bless them. Hallelujah.
And they should put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Sing
Family to among Israel so Namidia Mishira one family to among Israel so Namidia Mishira